Welcome to the Society Pod, a podcast for entrepreneurs, marketers, and leaders. Here's your host, Jessica Yarmy.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Society Pod. My guests today have created their own unique careers for themselves in the fitness industry, in two different aspects of the fitness industry. The first is an iconic, passionate founder in the boutique fitness space. She's a heart-first creative spirit. I think the Myers-Briggs is INFPT. And the second is a sales legend who's worked in the fitness space from a sales perspective for most of his career. He's of the complementary ENTJA, executive spirit. Welcome to the show, Allison Beardsley and Eric Tepper.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's so great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you both here. I love a tag team kind of episode. Allison, I'll start with you. Why don't you kind of introduce yourself and give us the latest and greatest things that you've been working on?
Yeah, so my name's Allison Beardsley. I founded a brand called Club Pilates back in 2007 and franchised that and sold that in 2015. And I founded a new brand called Red Light Method in 2022 in Arkansas. And this happened in my mid-40s. I started using red light therapy, and I just noticed huge things. I got over long COVID, and I was like, I got to do the same thing I did with Club Pilates and do this with Red Light Method. And it's really exciting that in just a year of franchising, we're like 10xing what we did at Club Pilates, and it's so exciting. And we're seeing such blessings like macular degeneration healed. So stuff that you don't see in boutique fitness alone.
All right, Eric, and how do you tie into this crazy family? How did you and Allison connect, and give us a little bit of your background?
Eric Tepper. I've been in the fitness industry for almost 30 years now, and you name it, I have done it. So, and most of my time has been sales leadership, management, all in that. And then I also, for the last about, 13 years, have also been in the world of like performance coaching. And about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, I cold messaged Allison on LinkedIn, and she replies back and she's like, "It's meant to be. I'm never on LinkedIn." And we started talking, and you can't help but fall in love with Allison like the moment you talk with her, because she's just really real. And we looked at her business, and she was like, okay, I need someone like you. And she hired me and this other guy, and we both came on doing different roles. And within like a few weeks, he kind of just ducked out, and we kept working together, and it kept getting bigger and bigger. You know how when you know, it was just meant to be. We use the word beshert, which is like, meant to be in Yiddish. And we've been working together now for about a year and a half, and we just continue to build and build and build into this, like, it's awesome.
I always say that it's definitely the who and not the what when you're building something new, but I would be remiss if I skipped over the what, because I want to dig into what you guys are building. Maybe Allison, give us your like elevator pitch as you're talking to new franchise owners. Like, what is the Red Light Method?
Red Light Method is a unique wellness spa fitness concept. So it starts with a 25-minute medical grade red light therapy PEMF treatment in a personal spa treatment room. And we use like a FDA cleared $40,000 red light system proven for body contouring, reduced pain, inflammation. After that, they do 15 minutes guided on the power plate. All our classes are digitally taught, so we don't have live instructors. And then after the power plate, they move to the Pilates Reformer, where they do 15 to 30 minute guided digitally taught Pilates Reformer sessions. We also have like saunas. We're adding in EWAT, and we also have the Staiku 3D body scan. So we offer a lot of amenities, but it's a hybrid of wellness and fitness. Whereas right now I mostly see things in the fitness space or in the wellness space, but I think we're the first to bridge the two that I'm aware of. And I just wanted to say I echo everything Eric says, and I love him so much, Eric.
I love the love story, and we'll get more to you guys as co-leaders here. But I was just at Athletech in New York, and that was definitely a theme that was happening or heard throughout a lot of the panels, the leaning toward recovery and toward wellness and toward longevity. And I think you're right, Allison, it is like a little bit of a line between, like, some people are staying in fitness and some people are staying in recovery, but you definitely are blending like both of those spaces. And Eric, you're coming at this more from like big box land. So you're kind of diving in, like, how are you looking at boutique, and how are you looking at some of these modalities that are kind of like brand new in big box world?
So it's really interesting because over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to mix with not only big box but health and wellness brands, with boutiques, and have really learned a lot. And what I see is that a lot of like the businesses that are saying they're going into wellness in addition to fitness, they're dabbling, if you will, which I give tremendous kudos. I think it's great that they're trying to expand their offerings, but it's like we're still really, our meat and potatoes is fitness, and you can go into an infrared sauna in our space. Whereas red light method, you know how like the end all be all for a lot of fitness, health and wellness businesses is we're going to capture the 75% of people who are not involved, right? Who don't go to a gym. That's our bread and butter. So we actually appeal to that group of people, the slightly older clientele who's a little bit deconditioned, who's a little bit intimidated. It really truly is the wellness piece first. Like Allison likes to describe it as our steak, if we were like Ruth Chris, is the red light and the power plate. Everything else is like the side dishes, so you can get the fitness, but the health and wellness part of it, the red light and the power play together are such a huge tool for that. So powerful.
So who are you seeing as the core customer as you've opened a number of locations already?
We see like the largest majority of interest is coming from females age 40 and up. The ones that are coming in, like we definitely have some people who like, if you're into fitness, you love the recovery piece of it. But if like you're somebody who's like die hard, you're in shape and you go to Club Pilates every day, our Pilates might be a little light for you, but you'll love the recovery piece. You'll love the red light. You'll love the power play. So the majority of the people that we're in that age bracket are also slightly deconditioned. Maybe they're newer in their wellness journey, or they've tried things and they haven't quite found success yet.
Yeah, I think it's such an underserved part of the population, and there is a lot of talk about catering to that older population and doing a better job of making fitness offerings and wellness offerings more accessible to all. As you guys have started to plant some flags, where are you in terms of your number of locations open, your number of locations sold? What are the growth plans here?
Right now we have 4 locations open. We started franchising 1 year ago, and we have our 5th ones opening in a couple weeks.
Yeah, on the first.
Yeah, on the 1st. And then we have about 61 in development. So 61 territories in development, and we're all over we have Houston, Dallas in development, Fort Worth, Michigan, California, San Diego, Marin County, just all over.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah,
Salt Lake
Tulsa.
City, Tulsa, Florida.
Yeah, it's hard to name them all. Tennessee, Atlanta. So it's really exciting. And I just wanted to add a little bit to the last point too about the demographic, is that a lot of people, like in our Reno location, we have lots of fit people, but they're no longer able to do high intensity anymore. They're no longer able to do stuff. So this is like nourishing their body. Everyone's like, I have no more arthritis pain. Like my neck arthritis is gone, or I hobbled in and I could hardly walk when I came in, and a year later they're down 100 pounds and like pain free. But a lot of them are like fit, but they're not able to do their old workouts anymore just because of age happening. So the red light is kind of like the fountain of youth. But yeah, sorry to divert there. I just wanted to add that.
No, I think it's important. And it's also important that you tag me in when the Dallas location opens, just so I can go and support and check it out. Allison, I know you are like heart first in the modality kind of founder. How did you originally get connected into red light therapy? What was your first experience with it, and how did you fall in love with it so much that you decided to open this concept that really like stems from red light?
I started using a red light face mask in my 40s because I'm like all natural. I'm like a Norwex washcloth water person. So I'm like super simple, super natural. So I started that way, and I noticed improvements in my skin. And then after we had moved to Arkansas in 2021 to become sheep farmers, whole nother story there.
As one does.
Yes.
As one does.
So I was doing business coaching, and a lady from the Bay Area had a weight loss clinic. And so she mailed me these lights to try, and I was coaching her on her business. And so with the lights, I was getting over long COVID at the time. And I was like, I couldn't recover. In 2 weeks of doing these lights, I lost 11 pounds and went from feeling like I was 80 till I was 20. Like I was like the Energizer bunny. It was nuts. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to share this with other people. Most sicknesses and diseases are mitochondrial and cellular based. And the red near infrared light therapy really changes that. Like it was a game changer for me. Like I had a complete recovery and then some. And then since then, I have no aches or pains. I'm an old athlete. That's what got me into starting Club Pilates was all my old sports injuries. And the red light like is awesome for that as well. Pilates helped me 80% get rid of aches and pains and that kind of stuff. But adding in the red light, I'm rarely in like a pain situation or like occasionally every couple of years I might tweak something, but it's not like it used to be at all. So the red lights are pretty amazing. So that's kind of what fueled this is me wanting to share what helped me so much with the world. And so I'm not doing anything new. I'm doing the same thing I did with Club Pilates is how do we make this thing that's normally a $200 treatment affordable and accessible so school teachers, police officers, everyday people could do it. And that brings me to the Myers-Briggs of our personalities. And that's kind of like, I'm like the Bob Marley Shakespeare like lover. Like I have to be so passionate about something to do it or else I don't do it. I'm like balls to the wall or no balls at all. And I have to be wholeheartedly passionate about something to even pursue it as a job. And that's why I was a terrible employee before I got into Pilates is because I have to love what I do 100% or I just can't do it.
Well, so you're bringing up the lessons learned from Club Pilates and how you're kind of just like, I'm not doing anything different than what I did there. I'm just like running the same play. What are some of the other aspects of that play that you're looking to pull forward into the red light method?
So the play, I guess the same play is just the heart vision of the foundation, but being that this is my second time as a franchisor and being that I now have experience in franchising, which I didn't with Club Pilates in the early days, it's completely a different play because to know what you're doing and then doing it a second time and having even more passion is so different than being like a 20-something-year-old pregnant with babies and your husband deployed and you start a business. That's how Club Pilates was. It was so like I was literally waitress, Pilates instructor, CEO of a franchise company. I knew nothing about franchising when I started. And it's by God's grace that Club Pilates just rocks as a product that carried it to the next level. So after selling, the systems were applied, but I got to watch those systems be applied and learn that. I'm grateful for those mentors I had to teach me how to properly do it because I know how to create the idea and the awesome product, but to combine that with then knowing how to use the systems is the different thing. And then to bring in someone early on like Eric to balance me out in the areas that are not my skill set. So that's where Red Light Method is like Club Pilates 2.0, and I think it's going to really be a disruptor in the industry, bigger than Club Pilates was back in the day.
I love that you're pulling the lessons learned forward. I think we see a lot of founders who will not learn, or they'll be a little bit stubborn with what they believe it should be, and they won't adjust the sails to what direction the winds are blowing. So I think it's great that you've learned along the way and now you're trying to build it even better on the next one. So Eric, with your side kind of being like the sales, the execution, the executive, the structure aspect of the business, how are you kind of pulling from your experience? Like what in your background are you looking to pull forward into Red Light Method?
Well, it started with actually creating a process, like a repeatable process that franchisees could follow that worked. Having been in like just about every scenario imaginable in fitness, health, and wellness, I like to pull from what works and what doesn't work and what are the structures. Really, what I've been focusing on right now is more being informed by all the past experiences and like kind of analyzing and saying what works, what doesn't work, looking to see what is it that our franchisees need today? What are they going to need tomorrow? What are they going to need 6 months from now? And building the structures around that. Because, having a great sales structure and being successful in sales is one thing. Having a complete, well-rounded structure where somebody who maybe has never run their own business but loves the idea of red light, like just wants to bless their community. If they're going to go in and invest their heart and their time and their money, we want to make sure they're set up for success. So we've really over the past like 6 months to a year have taken like no structure, and we have a really robust structure now. on the sales side, on the operations side, on the reporting side, on the support side. And it really, really works.
Staying with you, Eric, what do you love the most about the franchising world so far?
What I love about it is, you meet these franchisees or potential franchisees, and you start to develop a relationship early on, and they start to share things with you about why they're doing this. And of course, there's the I want to make money, and a lot of people are in their second or third act in doing this. But a lot of them, it goes way beyond the money. And I think you would agree, coming from this world, that anyone who goes into this business, yeah, you want to make money, but you love people. You love people, you want to help them, you believe in this modality, so you want to share that with the world. So I love taking that and then being able to say, okay, we got you. We are now married. Your success is our responsibility, and giving them the tools and seeing them take off. It's like, like we have this one franchisee who's getting ready to open, and I'm looking at the date, in 11 days, and seeing where she was day one and seeing all the successes and the challenges that she's had, and knowing that we've together gotten her to she's launching, she's going to be successful. That's the whole thing.
And Allison, you go from not knowing anything about franchising, but you are leading a franchise on the Club Pilates side, to now with Red Light, you almost went into it from day one knowing you would build it as a franchise. I know you don't like the word franchise, but what's your love-hate with the franchising world?
I love the franchise world. I don't love franchise restaurants. Terrible. I prefer local restaurants that are healthy, but as far as franchising goes, I think it has to do with that relationship, which is why I screen potential franchisees so much. Is for me, it's I almost feel like they're each my baby. If I'm a mother hen and each one's my little baby hen, they come in and they're extending this part of that came from love to help people, and meshing well with the franchisee is good. And then being able to have the systems in place so that they're supported, because when the franchisees are not happy, that's what I don't like about franchising is and I experienced that a lot in Club Pilates, with it turns into a bitch fest, for lack of a better term. And that is not that, yeah, that's the part of franchising that I don't like. And that's where it's we got to really instill the culture of hey, we love you. We truly love you. And they're screening me and I'm screening them 10 times more, because my work is such a blessing. It's so fun for me. I get to work with Eric, who I'd say is one of my best friends. I love Eric to pieces. Work is a big slumber party for all of us. And so when we're hanging out together, it's a joy. And so that's what, for me, the most important thing is that it stays this high energy, loving, joyful endeavor. And then when you get a toxic franchisee in who just complains and plays the victim, that's the part. And that's the part with anything in life, because it's we can choose to be focused on success and thriving, or we can choose to blame or be lame and then play the victim. And so when I get a franchisee who plays the victim, it just frustrates me to no get up. And so that's the frustrating part. But thankfully, we don't have any of those so far.
We don't. And even look, there's going to be some challenging situations.
Yes. Yes.
But I think that, at least our franchisees, they really do get that we're here to help. And they know we're a young franchise. So they know that we're growing alongside with them. So when they come, and if there is that moment of I'm a grumpy owner right now, we get it, right? We take responsibility for it. We listen, we empathize, and then we work on a solution together. And I think when you come from there, we'll be on phone calls at 10, 11 at night, my time, and 9 o'clock Allison's time, because they need it. They need the support then. And sometimes what they need is just to be heard, or just to express I'm freaking out. I'm about to open this business and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. It's okay. So yeah, I mean, everything that Allison said and coming from that loving place is really creating that culture where it's a power source power feed, right? So, we nurture the franchisee, they also nurture us back, and we learn from that.
I think there is that element of a franchisee coming into a young franchise. It's a different kind of candidate than a franchisee that would be coming into a mega franchise? I think you have different criteria maybe that you're scanning people for. Allison, as you are doing like a heavy vetting process, what are some of the things you're looking for in potential franchisees? And are there certain geographies that you're looking for right now? Because then we can shout them out and try to connect you with some new people.
Mostly it's the strong cultural fit and the ability for them to actually be able to get open. Because let's face it, if you don't have good credit, if you have no resources, you're not going to be able to get open, or if you can't get approved for an SBA loan. We got to make sure that the funding is there, and then also that they're open, willing, adaptable, eager, believing in the concept, and just pleasant in general. So those are the things we look for now. And then as far as areas, we're sold out in Tennessee, but the world is an oyster. We use Buxton software, which is the same software we used in the early days at Club Pilates. I used Esri, but this was before Buxton existed. And now we have Buxton, which is awesome software. And so we use that for site selection. And in the early days, like in Club Pilates, there's a larger radius. It's about a 25-minute drive time. And it's not until you're in year 10 of franchising do you start squeezing them in between once they're all full. So it's really important to not over cannibalize and oversaturate an area. The demographics we see in like Northwest Arkansas, that one's done. We're not doing any more for 5 or 10 years in Northwest Arkansas until both are 100% full. But it's a small demographic. They're about a half hour away from each other, the two studios in different parts of town. There's no need to squeeze one in between. And so I think that's a problem with early on in franchising is making too small territories, cannibalization. And that could be an issue in the future too, like especially because Pilates is projected to triple in the next decade. With that more Club Pilates are opening, but now more Pilates brands are happening. I know there's a lot of marketing challenges happening right now with that, with cost per lead and stuff like that.
And so give me the real estate specs that we're going after. Like, what's your ideal square footage as you're looking to build out?
We could be in 1,200 square feet to 3,500 square feet because we're flexible. So we can be 6 treatment rooms and see 12 people an hour, or we could be 10 treatment rooms and see 20 people an hour. So we love flex space. I don't push people into Class A retail because our marketing is so awesome. Why pay $15,000 a month rent to be by Whole Foods, which is a pain in the butt to go in that parking lot when you can go a quarter mile away and there's a flex space for like a fifth the price. And this is when I started Club Pilates, it was in December 07, and in 08 the economy tanked. And as we expanded and took over in San Diego, I got the cheapest rent. I was in random warehouse spaces and we were packed. I understand the want to look fancy and be in Class A retail, but I care about the franchisee's bottom line. I don't care about my 8% or 6%. I want the franchisee to be at 50% profit margins, and you don't see that with normal franchisors. They're looking in the 10% game. I'm like, I want you, even if your sales are $50,000 a month, I want you to be profiting 25 of that. So why would I push you into $15,000 a month rent when you can get $3,000 a month rent? So I get passionate about that.
Not just pushing franchisees to don't get the shiny $15,000 a month rent. Go down the street where it's $3,000 or $5,000. But even you look at build outs, the cost to build out a studio these days has gone up and up and up. There's some brands out there. It's $1 million build out when you get the equipment and the build out to open a studio. How do you make money on $1 million loan? And then you add in a $15,000 a month rent. It makes it almost impossible. So besides pushing people to lower real estate, smaller spaces, we also have arranged with all of our vendors. We don't make any money on the equipment purchases. What they pay goes directly to the vendor. Everything we do, we don't charge extra to our franchisees for anything because it all goes back to if they're successful, we're successful. And they can't be successful if the royalties are 8 or 10%, but when you add it all in, it ends up being 20%. Then they're never going to make any money. We have it very, very lean, and we put it really their success first in our guidance.
I wanted to add to that my original franchisees at Club Pilates, they got open for $60,000. Now they have to buy a $250,000 equipment package from Expo because Expo's playing the middleman. They're just seeing profit. And I'm not adverse to profit, but our franchisees are getting $500,000 worth of equipment for about $200,000. So we're helping them to get open. Like our build out's 50 grand. The equipment, it could range from 120 to 200. So they're getting open for 300,000, 400,000 at the top. And they're getting they're going into equity in the business. They're not like, oh, I just triple paid for these $3,000 reformers and I got this equipment for 200 grand when I could have just bought it direct from the Pilates business for 60. I think that's unethical, personally. I'm going to probably make a lot of people mad by saying that, but I think it's unethical.
No, you and I align there.
Okay.
We'll move on. We'll keep you in a safe space, Allison. So I want to, Allison, because I have you and Eric, you can mute yourself for a moment. Because you are not only a female founder in franchising, but you're a 2-time female founder in franchising. And in your Club Pilates days, most of your early owners were female franchisees. And still to this day in the Club Pilates system, Keely and her group is the largest, if not the second largest franchise owner in the Club Pilates system. And so it's like you created this ecosystem where female entrepreneurs can thrive. And in franchising as a whole, only 30% are usually female owners. Do you see yourself as a trailblazer in that way? Do you feel pressure to pave the way for the rest of us who are coming into this space with you? How do you kind of have your mind wrapped around what you built with Club Pilates and how you kind of opened doors for a lot of female business owners?
I don't even think of gender, honestly, like being female or male or anything. Like that never even enters my mind as a business owner. I think it's just, and I've told people this, like, I remember being paid like $800 an hour for a consulting thing one time. And they were a private equity group and they're like, we're going to knock off Club Pilates. And I'm like, you can't do it. And they're like, why? And I was like, because it's built on love. And I know that sounds so cheesy. I know it's like, but it's true. It's true. I believe that when you build something where you genuinely aren't looking out to like just line your pockets with money. If you're looking to actually help and serve other people and be a blessing and pay it forward, and that is pure untainted gold, that vision is completely unstoppable. There's nothing in the world that can stop that when it's genuine like that. So I think that that's the only thing, is that I'm really genuine and I'm really authentic and I genuinely love people and I genuinely want the best for them. And I'm friends with most of my early franchisees still from the Club Pilates days. They're still my homies. So it's a genuine thing and that's awesome. And I think that that's the difference, is that I think a lot of companies start and it's not based on that pure intention. So I know that sounds really woo-woo. I know it does, but like, I feel like it's like a universal truth that is unstoppable. I'm not that smart or anything. I just love people. I'm just a down-to-earth, genuine. I authentically want the best for people. So, but anyways, I just love people. So
I think you just show up unapologetically who you are, and maybe in a way that gives people permission to also be the same and just show up in their strengths. And I think you never have that ego-coded approach of like, I don't have any weaknesses. Like you kind of have always had that vibe of like, I do this really well and I do this not so well. And like, let me like fill in those gaps, which is a good segue to talk about you guys and how you play off of each other. Eric, as you're like talking to Allison about this opportunity, what are some of the things you saw in her that you were like, oh yeah, this could definitely work. Like I could definitely feed off of this person in a working relationship.
I think it goes to the open and the authentic way she shows up. It would be very easy for Allison to be like, I created Club Pilates. Just run my playbook and you'll be fine. And that's not how it goes with her. She's goofy and open, and she very quickly said, I know what I'm good at, right? I'm good at the vision. I'm good at having the mission. She's great at content. And she's like, here's what I'm not good at. And it made it easy to say, like, to be a yes with her. And we're a yes, like all the time. Like anything comes up, if franchisee says, I have an idea, we're like, yeah, let's try it out. It made it easy. And then, my skill sets really fill in the gaps with hers. I'm very much like, I used to be very similar, like I'm excited, let's do it. Over the years, I've really developed like, let's look at like this as a process. Great. We have this vision. How do we break it down? How would we implement it? Who could it impact? what steps would we need to take? A good example is Allison was like, we're going to include PEMF mats. And Allison's like, let's put them in tomorrow. All right.
I bought them in like 5 minutes. I was like,
Yeah.
ready, fire. And then everyone's like, whoa, pony. Like, yes, slow down.
So, then we'll come in and I'll be like, okay, so here's what we want to do. It aligns with the what we're trying to accomplish here, what we want to provide. How do we roll it out? How do we make sure it works? How do we measure it? And then bring the leadership team together and say, okay, here's what's really cool, what we're doing. Here's the beginning of the structure. Let's fill in the gaps. It ended up like a 2-month process that we put together, but now everyone understands it. They're excited about it. Our clients are really going to be blessed by it. So that's where we kind of balance each other out.
So how would you describe Allison's leadership style?
All heart, good and bad. Like, and I say that lovingly, but like, Allison gets impacted and shares, and she shares appropriately, right? Like when her and I talk, it might be different than when she's talking with a franchisee. But when she gets impacted by something, she is the first person to be like, okay, I'm upset right now. Can we talk through this? Because I want to get through the upset.
Well, Eric's like my therapist. You're like my therapist.
We do.
Coach.
Like we talk a lot, but it's the same thing for me. I'll be like, look, I need to get this off my chest. So she just comes from the heart all the time. She's excited. What's the phrase used, Allison? You're a ready, shoot, aim person.
Oh yeah. You just shoot and then you use GPS to guide it. We have GPS nowadays. So we don't have to have it all figured out to get started, or you never get started. You just got to start taking the steps. That's like a gift for me, or like something I'd like to do, but sometimes I can do that and it's like, oh, but not everyone takes new things. I could be overwhelming somebody or stressing someone out. So the whole team, especially Eric, balances that like creative fire I have. But I would say you're all heart too, Eric. But anyways, Eric's still answering.
Well, I asked a question, Jessica, but yeah.
I know.
You did. And we can jump over to Allison. How would you describe Eric's leadership style?
I would say that he's more structured. He's really good at like Excel. He's organized. Well, he's loving as heck, first of all. So he's loving, he's kind, he puts other people first. I've worked with so many people who are in sales, and Eric is the most genuine, loving. And I think so much of that is like he's done lots of investment in training and stuff. Like I know, Eric, you've done like Landmark and all kinds of awesome tools and you use them. And like, he's like a coach. So he's like a business coach with the right mindset. And that's so important. And we 100% align. But we are like the polar opposite of the Myers-Briggs test. And so it's really cool because I'm not structured. I'm not a manager. I lack in discipline. I'm kind of a free spirit. And Eric is also like loving and free spirited and everything, but he's structured. Like he is organized. He's systematic with like different processes. Like I'm systematic in different ways, but he's systematic in the ways that I'm not systematic. He really is organized and he's encouraging and positive and solution oriented. I love Eric so much. And I'm so thankful because I sold Club Pilates so early on because it was too much for me too soon because it's not my skill set. I am not a CEO. I can play that for 6 months or a year or two, but it's not my strength. And so I sold Club Pilates really fast. Like we had 40 open, 80 in development, and I sold it quick because I was like, oh, I'm not equipped for the next. I knew enough about myself that I'm not going to be the one to grow it from this to 1,000. So that's not my skill set. But I believe that is Eric's, like he is strong there, but he's strong in a way that's not like a punk CEO. He's very loving. He's very like, because there's CEOs who are jerks and they're cut. Yeah. And I would say Eric is that CEO material that I've seen in others, but he's got the loving part about it too. So it's perfect. So it's like nice because I'm like excited to actually like keep this for a few years and not sell it in 18 months like I did Club Pilates, but like keep it going, get it open, like see these thrive, get it to 100 and then see what happens, or 50. But I couldn't do that without Eric. And so I think that's what's really exciting and everything.
And then as you think about the kind of culture you're trying to create, and I know Eric's kind of new to the culture, but so like what were you working on culturally before? And then has adding Eric impacted the culture you were working on building?
He complements everything in the culture. So it's like a completion. The culture is built on loving your neighbor as yourself. And so Club Pilates culture was basically the same thing, just worded differently. But it's, that's our culture is loving our neighbor as ourselves. And I think Eric embodies it perfectly with that complementary skill set. So, which makes us like a dream team. So it's really cool to get to do this with Eric. It's so much more fun.
I got to share this, Jessica. So, like early on, I had a meeting with Allison and with our president of operations. At the end, Allison goes, "Okay, I love you guys." And I was like, huh. And then she kept ending meetings with, "I love you." And I started really thinking about it. And we use the word blessing a lot. And, I'm not a terribly religious person. Like when I used to interact with people and I'd say, "How are you?" And they'd say, "Oh, I'm blessed." I'd be like, what does that mean? It's weird. So when she says she loves you at the end of a meeting, she truly means it. And we end almost every leadership meeting, like when our core team, with "I love y'all." And we mean it. There's appreciation. And when we use the word blessing, it's a world. It's like not just about blessing. It's like it's just like this spreading of love, if you could. And I know we keep saying, "Oh, we're loving, blah, blah." Everyone's gonna think we're like unicorns, and it really is a place to come from. And all the business part, that's universal, right? So, we can make a P&L, we can put processes in place, and you can do that with any brand. Sauce that Allison came up with, which is the loving thy neighbor as thyself, and coming from there, that's the difference maker. That, and of course the modality is like so ahead of anything out there.
It does feel a little like rainbows and unicorns. And so I want to give you guys both an opportunity to talk about either within Red Light Method or some other time when you've been on a low and you've had to generate a comeback season, and like what that might have looked like for you. So Eric, why don't you go first?
Well, there's been plenty of love. I left the industry for a short time. I was with this boutique brand that was like really popular. And then we went through financial challenges. And I said, I've been in fitness all my life. Let me explore. So I went into a completely new industry, and I was there for about 2 years, and it was a great industry, and I learned so much. I really learned how to be an analytical type of leader, and I got laid off. They downsized. They got rid of my whole region and consolidated. And I had never been laid off before. And at the same time, my daughter got sick. And I went like 8 months where I was taking care of my daughter. I was searching for a job, and I was so low. It was so impactful, and I didn't know what to do. And my wife was like, "Start a business," and I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see a way out. And I have been involved in a lot of developmental work, so I work with a lot of coaches. I do a lot of coaching, and I ended up creating 3 offers for myself, and I took the lowest paying offer. And it was an on-ramp for me back into health and wellness. I said, like, this works with taking care of my daughter. This is a way in. And the guy who offered it to me, like, God bless him, he knew that I needed an on-ramp. And that was it. Like, that was all I needed to get back started. And then like something else opened up, and something else opened up, and something else opened up. And I know there's a lot of people out there, as we see the economy go up and down, that get laid off, right? Or they doubt themselves. Can I do this? Am I the leader? People want to help. Genuinely. And what I found is when I got more like authentic about what I was going through, sharing where I was, but also sharing value and where I could contribute, people wanted to open the door and help. And when I started working with different companies, when I started consulting, coming from that place as well, like, I'm here to help because I've been where you've been. All of a sudden people were like, "I want to work with you. I want to work with you. I want to work with you."
And I think one of the reasons I asked that question is because I think sometimes to like see the light, you have to have those moments of sitting in the darkness. And I think there are so many people who are in that now. So Allison, what stories do you have to share with us from a darkness that led to light?
The darkness to light, I would say that like that's almost like my life story. Like I was born into a poor family in Appalachia. I had to make a decision mentally of like, am I going to follow the path that I've been shown my whole life, or like that I've been taught from my family, which is like kind of poor hillbillies from Kentucky, to be honest. And like many of my cousins have died from drugs and heroin and prison, and like that's normal in my family. And I'm like different. And so I remember making that decision when I was 5 years old to like, how did I end up here? What's going on? And I'm not going to be like this. And so I think it was like a resilience thing that was birthed out of an adverse upbringing person. And so like my whole life, I kept myself busy. I did the things I loved. And so I've always been not a victim, not someone to be like, this happened to me, or because my mom this or my dad that, then this is gonna, like, I've always been like, no, like, let me take responsibility. What can I do to get to the next level? So I would say, I think it's just a part of my character. I mean, I've had lots of challenges. Like my husband was a military pilot. He was deployed to war. The first several years of Club Pilates, I had 2 toddlers. My husband was at war. Like we were both up in debt to our eyeballs with student loan debt, like making it by a penny. Like we started Club Pilates maxing out our credit cards. That was challenging. Another thing was like I actually made my identity. So after selling Club Pilates, I went into a dark place because my identity was my business. So during the 3 years after the sell, I had so much growth of like, what does life even really mean? Like, what does it all matter? And that brings me to like a book I like in the Bible called the Book of Ecclesiastes. And it's about the son of David, Solomon, who was the richest king. He had made all his goals. He had 700 wives. He had everything. And he's like, everything is meaningless without God, or everything is meaningless without a higher purpose. And so I really love that book. A lot of people find that book really like depressing, but I love the Book of Ecclesiastes. It's where that song comes from, like a time to be born, a time to die. Yeah, that song. I can't sing. But anyways, yeah, so I've had lots of those experiences, but I think that like I have a huge faith. And so I always am looking up, or at least I try to, but generally the support with love of friends. And for me, like the faith of making something not about me, but about something bigger helps me to not get in those dark places. I definitely am more introverted. I'm more sensitive. I prefer smaller groups of intimate friendships versus being like, that's why I don't go to conventions and stuff. Like going to like a convention, I'd rather like gouge my eyes out than go to one. I'm like, oh no, I hate that kind of stuff. Like,
so we covered a ton of ground, but is there anything that's top of mind with you guys that we have not talked about that you definitely want the world to know, or at least the 15 people who listen to this, that you want them to know?
There's so much we could say. And I think that people have gotten kind of a little bit of a glimpse of kind of who we are and where we come from. But like you said, it could sound a little bit woo-woo, right? And I think there's like a fine line, because we really do try and keep that whole just love bubble going, if you want to call it that. Some potential franchisees are like, is it really like this all the time? Because we'll meet with them separately. They'll fly down to where Allison is and spend the day with her and go to the hot springs and do interpretive dance in the hot springs. And then I call them afterwards and I say, how was your visit? Do you have questions? Do you want to look at anything? They really do want to know. And I think what's also important to note is there's also like a lot of actual business acumen that goes into it. Between Allison and I, we have 50, 60 years of experience as owners operators. So everything from the financial model to the operations to just every step by step, from the minute somebody says, yeah, I believe in this, I'm in. Like right now we're getting ready to open number 5, and 5 out of 5 have opened, we're going to call it successful, meaning they have positive cash flow day one. I don't know any fitness or wellness business that opens up that way. They're typically 6 months to a year of like, maybe we'll break even. And when we look at the 4 that are upcoming to open later this summer, they're all trending in the same direction. We're not perfect by any means, but what we're doing is working. So that's what I'd want people to know. That, and if you are in a dark place, like there's always an answer, right? And there's always a way. And if you're scared to take the step, like Allison and I, we talk to people just like who are like stuck. They have no interest in being a franchisee. They just want to talk through something like, hey, y'all seem like really positive. Can I talk to you? Can I get your advice? So that's what I would share, Jessica.
I am familiar with one other business that would open locations cash flow positive, and that would be Club Pilates. Allison, any other tidbits from your side that you want to share before we call it?
I don't think so. It's been such a joy, and I'm so thankful for you, Jessica, and I'm so thankful for you, Eric. And I love seeing your podcast and your content on LinkedIn. It's awesome. So keep it up, girl.
I have so much love for you. I appreciate being at least a small part of your love bubble today. Thank you guys so much for being with me here today on the Society Pod.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Society Pod.